Writer's block usually isn't a lack of ideas, it's a stuck state of mind. In this video, I'll explain why that happens and then guide you through a 10-minute process to step out of it. Now I'm going to be going over the main causes of writer's block. As you're listening, try to figure out which one resonates the most with you. That will be the problem that you will try to work through in the guided 10-minute process at the end of this explanation. The first main cause of writer's block is perfectionism. As a recovering perfectionist, I have a lot of experience with this. When I was younger, I used to believe that my first draft had to be perfect. This was what I would send out to the world. I wrote it, and now it's perfect, and now everybody can read it. So I have learned that's not how writing works. Usually, nowadays, when I write a first draft, nobody else will see that. And it's really bad, it's really ugly. But the first draft is really important because once you have a first draft, you have something to work with. Then you can start revising it, rewriting it, then you will finally get your finished product. I have two main pieces of advice that have really helped me get over my perfectionism when it comes to writer's block. The first piece of advice is think of quantity over quality. When you write your first draft, you are not looking for a bunch of quality. You're not looking for perfect writing. You are just trying to get as many words out onto the page as you can. I usually set a 20 or 30-minute timer and say, I'm going to write continuously for 20 to 30 minutes, and I'm not going to care what comes out. I'm just going to get this draft onto paper, and then from there I can start rewriting that and doing whatever else I need to do with it. It's just important that you have that first draft on paper, so then you actually have something to start working with. The second piece of advice I have comes from Dan Brown's masterclass. He says, protect the process and the results will take care of themselves. What this means is, if you set up a practice where every single day you're going to sit down at your computer and write for 30 minutes, write for 30 minutes on your novel perhaps, and you do that every single day, it doesn't matter if you're getting really bad results at first, just like trash, don't even look at what you write, okay? Just have that habit of every single day writing for 30 minutes, quantity over quality, and eventually you will get results. You will start having a really long manuscript because you've been writing for 30 minutes every single day. Those are results. They don't need to be perfect. What I always say is practice makes progress, not practice makes perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. So just know that as long as you are writing, as long as you're doing the act of writing something down, you are making progress. The second cause of writer's block is over-identifying with your work. When you believe that what you have written and who you are interchangeable and they are one and the same, then it's going to be very hard for you to write. If you believe that what you have written is an extension of who you are, and then that piece that you have written gets criticized, then you are feeling like you are being personally attacked. And that can be very difficult to move through psychologically because then you don't want to write because you don't want to be criticized at all. So it's important not to over-identify with your work and understand that there is a difference between your work and who you are as a person. The third main cause of writer's block is emotional avoidance. This usually means what you are writing has some emotional burden on you. Writing itself can be very cathartic, but also resurfacing those emotions when you're writing about them can also be very painful. Your brain might be trying to psychologically protect you from re-witnessing and reliving those emotions again in your writing. Personally, I struggled with this when I did a memoir writing class. I did not want to write about some of the more painful and emotional traumas in my past. Instead, I actually wrote a chapter about my vacation in Europe. But throughout the whole memoir writing class, that's the only thing I wrote about. The writer's block prevented me from writing anything else about my life. So I only have like a 2-page thing about my trip in Europe. There's a quote by a French author. I do not know how to say his name, but here it is. He said something along the lines of, happiness writes like white ink on white paper. So you really do need that contrast, that emotional conflict in your writing to have something interesting. While this problem can be very difficult to overcome, I think it really does signal that you have something deep inside you that you do want to write about. Hopefully, the process at the end of this video will help you be able to overcome this part of writer's block and actually say what you want to say and overcome this emotional blockage. The fourth main cause of writer's block is control. It's when you want to control every step of the process in writing. You are always planning, you're always outlining, but you're not actually writing. I used to struggle with this a lot. For one novel I was trying to write a few years ago, I read this book about how to plan your whole novel, how to map out every single plot twist, all the characters' backstory, everything. And I tried doing that, but I really struggled with outlining, and then I just couldn't really write the story. I never got around to writing that novel because I had just spent so much time trying to plan everything that there was no spontaneity to any of it. Now with the novel that I'm currently writing, I do allow a level of spontaneity. Of course, I'm thinking about what's going to happen in my novel. I'm thinking about it all day when I go to sleep, whatever. When I actually get to my computer and start writing, it is kind of spontaneous. There's paths that I go down that I didn't think I would go down. I learned something about my character that I didn't previously plan. I think there is a beauty in writing that when you let go of control and just come to your desk and you start writing, anything can flow out. There's so many unexpected surprises that can come out that you couldn't even plan. However, I do acknowledge that humans do love to have control. So this writer's block cause of always wanting to plan, outline, but not actually write anything can be hard to overcome. But if this applies to you, then keep this in mind, and in the next section of the video, I'll show you how you can overcome it. Now I have gone over the four main causes of writer's block: perfectionism, over-identifying with your work, emotional avoidance, and control. Pick which one resonated the most with you, and we will work through that in the next 10 minutes in a guided meditation. This isn't any meditation though, it's something called quantum jumping. Basically, quantum jumping is when you visualize and meet with a twin version of yourself who has already overcome this problem that you have currently. You can observe their writing process and their mindset when it comes to writing. So basically, you get the insight and skills from your twin self who has already overcome this problem perhaps in the future, and then you can expedite that process. So now currently, you will overcome that problem. Just as some clarification, if perfectionism was your issue, then you're going to focus on becoming an imperfect generator. If over-identifying with your work was your issue, you're going to focus on becoming a decentered creator. If emotional avoidance was your issue, then you're going to focus on becoming an emotion-safe writer. And if control was your issue, then you're going to focus on becoming a curious explorer. And don't worry about trying to remember all these words. The guided meditation will repeat them and guide you through it step by step. Take a deep breath in now. And as you exhale, allow your body to soften just a little more than before. Another breath in and out. Feeling gravity do some of the work for you. You may notice your shoulders dropping, your jaw loosening. There's nothing you need to achieve here, nothing to get right. Your only job is to allow your mind to drift into a receptive, imaginative state, the same state where insights, creativity, and new patterns naturally emerge. As your breathing finds its own rhythm, your conscious mind can begin to step slightly to the side, and your deeper mind, the part that already knows how to change patterns, can become more active. This is the level of mind where habits shift, where identity updates, where writing becomes easier because the internal rules quietly change. Now, in your imagination, become aware of a space forming around you. It may appear as a hallway, a soft-lit room, a dreamlike landscape, or something more abstract. In front of you, a doorway appears. This doorway represents a transition from the version of you who experiences resistance to the version of you who experiences writing as natural, fluid, and psychologically safe. This doorway leads to realities within you, states of mind you already have access to, patterns that already exist in your nervous system, waiting to be activated. Notice the doorway, its texture, its presence, the feeling it gives off. And as you stand before it, you may already sense that something inside you is ready to shift. Behind the portal are different versions of you. Each one embodies a different psychological shift. In a moment, you'll choose the one that feels most relevant. Let yourself sense, not overthink. Here are your options. Option 1, the imperfect generator. This version of you believes drafts are for discovery, not judgment. They write badly on purpose. They treat writing like collecting raw material. They feel no shame in ugly first drafts. Option 2, the decentered creator. This version of you believes, my work is not my identity. They don't fuse self-worth with output. They see each piece as one experiment among many. Rejection or flaws don't threaten who they are. Option 3, the emotion-safe writer. This version of you believes, I can feel discomfort and still write. They don't block to avoid emotions. They allow messy, real material to exist on the page. They don't need to be protected from their own depth. Option 4, the curious explorer. This version of you believes, I don't need to know what this is yet. They trust not knowing. They let the piece reveal itself. They write to be surprised, not to control. Notice which one creates a subtle, emotional reaction in you, a pull, a resistance, a sense of that's the one. That reaction is information. Choose the version that feels most connected to your current block. Now, step through the doorway. As you do, you enter the environment where this upgraded version of you, your twin self, lives and works. Notice the quality of this space, the emotional tone, the sense of ease or focus in the air. This is a place where writing feels different in the body, where the nervous system has learned a new association. Take a moment to simply be here. Now you see your twin self. Watch them in the act of writing. Notice where they are. Observe how they begin writing and how they continue. Observe their mindset. How do they relate to drafts and mistakes? This version of you does not need to solve the entire piece before beginning. They trust that momentum reveals structure. Take your time watching. Your subconscious is modeling this state, learning it, observing it. This is how writing looks when safety, curiosity, and identity are aligned. Now, notice how this version of you becomes aware of you. There is recognition, understanding, a sense of shared history. They remember the old pattern. They also knew what it took to shift. Without words, they communicate something steady and reassuring. This way of being is available to you now. Now step closer. Notice the energetic quality of this version of you, their beliefs, their assumptions, their internal rules. As you breathe in, imagine these qualities flowing into you. With each inhale, you take in their relationship to drafts, to worth, to emotional depth, to uncertainty. Your nervous system learns a new pattern. If you chose the imperfect generator, feel how safe it is to write badly. If you chose the decentered creator, feel worth settling into something steady and unshakable. If you chose the emotion-safe writer, feel capacity expanding. If you chose the curious explorer, feel comfort in moving forward without full clarity. Old internal rules begin to dissolve. New rules quietly install themselves. Writing equals exploration. Writing equals motion. Writing equals expression. Writing equals safety. Silently, a phrase may arise. Drafts are safe. My worth is stable. I can feel and still write. Curiosity leads me. Let that phrase sink into posture, breath, and baseline state. Notice the merge between you and your twin self happening naturally. Two versions becoming one. Now, with this upgraded identity integrated, you step back toward the doorway. You bring this state with you. As you return to your normal awareness, something fundamental has shifted. Writing now occupies a different category in your nervous system. Less threat, more permission. Less pressure, more flow. From this moment forward, when you sit down to write, your system remembers this state. It becomes easier to begin, easier to continue, easier to allow imperfect motion. Flow becomes familiar. Resistance loses authority. Take one slow, deep breath. And as you exhale, allow your eyes to open, bringing back with you this new internal rulebook. Writing now feels different because you are different in how you relate to it. As you come back from the meditation, I want to commend you on doing this deep inner work to overcome your writer's block. Be gentle with yourself over the next day as these subconscious shifts settle in. Please let me know in the comments how this process went from you, and I'll see you in the next video.